The Butterfly Effect is written and directed by Eric Bress and J. Mackie Gruber. Objectives: discover the theory of chaos through the movie and its characters. Exemplify the meanings and the implication of the theory of chaos in the movie's narrative. Thesis: Evan plays being God when he decided to change his past in order to be with Kaylee, the person he most loves. But in his path, there are tiny effects to his actions that change the fate of those around him. Evan Treborn, played by Ashton Kutcher, frequently suffers from blackouts, often at moments of high stress. As a young child and adolescent, Evan and his close friends Kaylee and her brother suffered many severe sexual and psychological traumas. 7 years later, he realizes that when he reads from his adolescent journals, he can travel back in time and is able to redo parts of his past. His time-traveling episodes account for the frequent blackouts he experienced as a child. However, there are consequences to his revised choices of early actions that ripple forward in time to his present life for better and worse. The assimilation of dozens of years' worth of new memories from the alternative timelines causes brain damage and severe nosebleeds. The problem is the future gets worse and worse the more he time travels. Ultimately, he must make a choice, realizing he must give up the girl he loves. Evan goes back one final time to the day he first meets Kaylee as a child. He intentionally upsets her so that she will choose to live with her mother far away from him. 8 years later in New York City, an adult Evan passes by Kaylee on the street. Though a brief look of recognition passes over Kaylee's face, it quickly fades as she walks away without talking to Evan.
Origins.
The Butterfly Effect is a deceptively simple insight extracted from a complex modern field. In 1961, Edward Lorenz created an early computer program to simulate climate change, and he started his lecture about his discovery with the sentence, "Does the flap of a butterfly's wings in Brazil set off a tornado in Texas?" The butterfly effect has come to represent the chaos theory. To exemplify the theory, we can use the double pendulum. The motion of a double pendulum depends on the initial point. Due to the erratic behavior, different starting positions lead to every different path. Sensitivity on initial conditions means that starting the pendulum in a slightly different position would cause drastically different behavior.
In the movie.
So if we compare the above video with the movie, Evan plays the fix or initial point of the pendulum, and his time travels and consequences are the drawings that the pendulum's rod draws while it is moving in an arbitrary way.
Chronicle of Tiny Effects.
When small imprecisions matter greatly, the world is radically unpredictable. Evans is trapped by a fixed chain of events. In order to change those tragic events from occurring, he unleashes another series of tragic events accordingly.
The consequences of the tornado. Ethic on time travel.
As Evan continues to travel in time, he realizes that, even though his intentions are good, his actions have unforeseen consequences. Despite our desires and intentions being good, we will always create paradoxes if we can travel in time. Can we create happiness? We do not think so, because lifetime is not an isolated experience. It is related with an entangled net of people and events impossible to isolate. Irony and time travel are always together. It is impossible to travel in time without a second effect or a non-desired consequence. In this movie, Evan is perusing the happiness with Kaylee together, but instead of creating a lovely life, he alters in a bad way the life of everyone around him. If we can travel in time, it is impossible to be objective or be away from trying to rescue our loved ones. And if we do this, we are creating alternative realities. He did a sacrifice in order to save her, and decided to never meet her. Some people could think that Evan abandoned Kaylee, but he did a sacrifice, and this action is full of love. Also, if Evan continuing traveling in time, he will find his death soon, because traveling in time causes him brain damage.
Pursuit of Science.
The movie makes allusions to A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury that appears on a pennant, and to a painting, The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali, hanging in Evan's dorm room. These two items are significant in the history of humanity's culture, and they are in the movie because the meanings of those elements are the reinforcement of the concept of time and memory in Evan's life. In Persistence of Memory, Salvador Dali shows the clocks melting away and thus losing their power and stability over the world around them. It is also related to the theory of relativity, where Einstein proposed a new concept of time as being relative and complex, not something fixed and easily tracked with as crude a gadget as a pocket watch.
Relationships and extreme isolation.
Evan experiences a sense of guilt because Kaylee's decisions depend on the relationship with him. She stayed with her father in order to be near him. Traveling in time, Evan risks his own existence and ultimately his happiness giving her up. For Evan, this is the best alternative for his multiple travels. He isolates himself in order to make Kaylee happy.
Individuality and identity.
When Evan realized that the ability to travel in time is a heritage from his father, he discovered the key of success. Jason sees himself in Evan and realized how dangerous and painful traveling in time is because of its consequences and paradoxes. Father and son are alike, so Evan feels that the correct way to his future is being in an asylum, just like his father. The theme in this movie is love and the pursuit of happiness. The message is that love could be only achieved through sacrifice. Evan sacrifices his love in order to know that Kaylee is happy.
Conclusion.
For want of a nail is a proverbial rhyme showing that small actions can result in large consequences. For want of a nail. For want of a nail, the shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, the horse was lost. For want of a horse, the rider was lost. For want of a rider, the message was lost. For want of a message, the battle was lost. For want of a battle, the kingdom was lost. And all for the want of a horseshoe nail. Evan's diary not only is used to document the most significant events in his life, but also it is the medium he uses to travel in time. Time travel in this movie also creates divergent universes. Evan can go back in time and help Kaylee, but it won't be Evan's universe anymore. There will be a universe where Kaylee was abused. It is the eternal return of the chain of events. We see in this film that if time travel were possible, it could be very complicated because of the unpredictable consequences.